So between this year and last year, we got The Hunt, then Hunter x Hunter, and now Hunted. Maybe these filmmakers should start hunting for better movie titles. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about a brand new Shudder release called Hunted. Let me know in the comments below before we begin what your thoughts on this movie were, if you already saw it, if you were excited for it, if you weren't planning on seeing it. Let me know so we can discuss. Also, make sure to hit that thumbs up button if you like these reviews, as it helps me out immensely by getting my channel out there and growing the community. And if you are new here, I hope you consider hitting that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with reviews of new releases, older films, hidden gems, and so much more on a near daily basis. But let's not waste any more time and let's talk about Hunted. This stars Lucy Debay as Eve, who meets what she thinks is a charming guy in a bar. Yet things go terribly wrong as she realizes she has come across a psychopath and his accomplice. They engage in a death chase until she decides to fight back with the forest as her only ally. This is directed by Vincent Parano, who also co-wrote the screenplay, and he's best known for co-writing and co-directing Persepolis with Marjane Satrapi. And this is a much different change of pace from that film, as that was a more personal drama, while this is a grindhouse-style horror movie with fairy tale elements thrown in there, especially acting as a parallel to Little Red Riding Hood. Now, I've heard this get compared to I Spit on Your Grave a number of times already, but I haven't seen that movie. The closest that I can compare this to out of movies that I saw is the original Last House on the Left, and even then, this is nowhere near as unnecessarily uncomfortable as that movie. But this is still a fairly grimy experience that places emphasis at times on these incredibly violent moments that get to the point of really uncomfortable in certain situations. Now, to be clear, I'm not one to usually shy away from a film that has a ton of really violent moments. It's just in this instance, as is the case with Last House on the Left, this also goes hand in hand with the severe mental anguish that our main character Eve goes through as she's continuously being chased by these sadistic kidnappers. And when a movie does stuff like that for the sake of just trying to shock you, and there's next to nothing to get out of the scene, I find that to be cheap in a way. The only time it really works for me is if the movie's trying to be fun or doing something for comedic effect, but this movie is anything but comedic, at least in terms of the tone it's trying to go for. While this movie is nowhere near as uncomfortable as something like Last House on the Left, it still loses me big time because everything about this story just feels so disjointed and disconnected. Like, the energy levels were all over the place, and the way characters would react to things just didn't match the situation. For example, before the main events kick off, Eve is on the phone with someone, which is then followed by a scene of her going to a bar. And in both those situations, they were fairly low stakes, but she'd get really upset over the most mundane things, and it wasn't because of any trauma or anything like that. It's just she flies off the handle. Yet the way she's reacting, you think it's to something more severe. There'd be other instances, such as a scene that's meant to be incredibly serious, where the kidnappers are going after her, and the main guy would start talking in this silly, mocking tone and insulting everyone in what comes off as if he's just a teenager in a school brawl. And there's even one point where he'll interrupt one conversation to go on about something else entirely. It all felt like a bunch of non sequiturs, and it really felt like watching a horror version of The Room at times. It made absolutely no sense at times. It's a somewhat surreal experience, and it would be to the point of totally distracting and at times laughably bad, especially because the acting all around really was not all that good. Now, I'm not one to go too hard on actors because they're working with what they're being told to do, but all the performances here were not convincing whatsoever. Like, it felt as if it was something out of an amateur movie. Like, they would say these lines, but there was close to no conviction with their delivery, so it's like they didn't even believe what they were saying at times, or as if they didn't even know why they were saying what they were saying at times. It didn't even totally feel like they were actually responding to one another. Now, I don't know if this was a stylistic choice or what, but it just doesn't work here. There was little to no connection among all these characters, and the story wasn't cohesive as a result. It felt like they were going on so many different tangents, as if one guy was in one movie and another guy was in a totally separate movie. And the only positive things I can really say about it are that it's shot well. From a visual standpoint, it does look nice, and it's clear Vincent Parano does know what he's doing in terms of making a film look good. It's still baffling that this is one of the same people behind Persepolis, I will say. And some of the action scenes were somewhat entertaining. As we get towards the end of the film and it focuses more on these action-heavy moments, they weren't bad. It's just the fact that since the acting and the dialogue throughout the entire rest of the movie was so distractingly awful and it made little sense at times, it ends up being too little too late. Yeah, I didn't like this one at all. There are usually a lot of great hidden gems on Shudder, but this isn't one of them, and it's not a great first film of the year for them. It looked nice, and it has some solid action scenes, but the writing was terrible, with dialogue that didn't go together, and tangents that went absolutely nowhere. On top of that, the acting was so unconvincing, and the actors were so disconnected from one another, so it took me out of the moment almost the entire time. It might work as a so bad it's good movie for some of you, as I did laugh a few times at it, but that's about the best thing I can say. Hunted gets a 3 out of 10. So let me know, did you see Hunted, or are you planning to see it, and what were your thoughts? Did you like the story? Are you into these overly violent horror movies? Let me know in the comments below so we can discuss. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it, and for more movie reviews and film discussion, please make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll catch you next time.